Hey, Tyler, welcome to the Profit and Grit Show. How's it going?
It's going great, Tyler. It's weird to say your name that's the same as mine and sound like we're echoing each other, but great to connect with you and happy to be here on the show.
It does. I'm immediately gravitated towards you because you've got a great name.
There you go.
But hey, I want to learn about you. So tell me first what you do professionally. That's the first thing I want to learn.
Yeah, so live in Northern Virginia. Centerville is where our family's located. We've lived in Northern Virginia since 2017. Love the area, love the state. For those outside of the region, we're about 45 minutes or so from DC. So it's considered DC Metro, but quite a ways from there, closer to the mountains, which I'm thankful for. So nice to get out there. But yeah, married almost 18 years now, 3 boys aged 16, 14, and 12. Time goes fast. Outside of business, love pickleball, love hiking, love the outdoors. And business-wise, been part of a few that we'll talk about, but building right now from scratch, just over a year in, a company called SwiftPro, focused on HVAC and plumbing, primarily residential service and install.
Very cool. I can't pass this up. How often do you play pickleball? Do you play in tournaments? Just curious because I've been running into a streak lately of pickleball players in the trades.
I hope to get to the place in life where I have the bandwidth to do a lot more coaching and champion, tournaments and all that kind of stuff. Right now, though, I do have courts at my house. And so we do try to play every day. It's not quite every day, but I do have friends over. We usually play about usually 3 times a week, early in the mornings, mostly like 6 to 8. I have lights on my courts as well. So lots of fun, a bunch of other entrepreneurs and business owners mostly that come over and play, and we fit it into our busy lives, kind of around the edges where we don't take away from family or our business endeavors.
That's too cool, having courts on your own home. That's awesome. Hey, so where I want to start is let's talk about SwiftPro. This is your first business that you've done solo, where you don't have partners or other people. Talk to me about what got you to even start SwiftPro on your own. Like, what was the thing that crossed you over the line and said, hey, I want to do my own business?
Probably part of it is I came out of a kind of a challenging partnership, and we'd been acquired by private equity. And so the last couple of years were a little bit tough. And, and then part of it is like, you've had people around you that you're just a great salesman, or you're just that. And it's like, so I think there's that aspect. I was 40 at the time, and I'm like, man, I want to like do this. Like, I want to build something from scratch. Like there was something in me, because I initially looked to buy, and I was looking at options. And frankly, I think we live in one of the highest valued areas as far as businesses go, and private equity's dumped tons of money and bought most of the large and now most of the mid-sized companies within our region. And so I had a passion to build a family-owned local business. I'm not anti-partnership. I think you just need to be very careful that you're aligned on values. And I think the mistake can be that let's just achieve success together and we'll figure it out. The problem is success, especially at a high level, introduces a new level of complexity. And so I think it's just very important to start with the end in mind and make sure you pick wisely. And so I'm still open to partnership, and I may have partners in the future. It just has to be the right situation, the right complementary gift sets and contribution, and someone that's aligned on values, vision, outcome, where we're going in 5 to 10 years, etc. So that's where I'm at. But yeah, for in the short term is like, all right, let's do this thing. I didn't have anyone that was aligned at the time or ready to jump into this at that level and able to invest or anything. But I do have people on our team that certainly I treat like partners, that I involve in all major decisions, get their input, and yes, they directly influence the decisions I make. And so I do believe in that. I think, you got to have a leadership team.
Has there been anything in the first, say, year, or maybe even today, that has been a setback for you or was harder than you envisioned in terms of getting started and getting up and running? Anything stand out?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I would say every step of the way has been harder than I expected. Like
Really?
3 weeks in, we were just doing small service stuff and just trying to get reviews, honestly, to get on the map. And I think we had like 20 reviews. We'd worked our butts off. No revenue to speak of, right? Just trying to do real work for real people and get real reviews, right? So we could show up on Google. They want to fake this. We're not paying for reviews. None of that crap, right? Like we haven't cut any corners. We've done everything legit. And so anyways, we had 20 something reviews. We were all excited and hyped. Again, we're 2-3 weeks in, nothing else was working yet. And so we were just like, oh, at least we had that. And so when we got referrals, we'd be like, yeah, look at our Google page. Look at these reviews. Right. And then Google shut us down. So we disappeared overnight, and we were in our first month of business, and we had nothing else to fall back on. And so I was like, you got to be kidding me. I think it took us like 2 weeks to get back online. And it was a fight with Google. And I mean, it was a typical thing where something, some I that wasn't dotted, T wasn't crossed. Like I think it was some of our formation documents didn't have the same some of it was started with my home address because we didn't have an office, and then we had an office. And so there was some conflict. Google never said exactly what it was. There was something that set the red flag off, and they just shut us down, right? So we went through, dotted all our I's, crossed all our T's, submitted all our docs, and eventually won and got it online again. But in the process, I was like, I am never going to be focused on one platform alone. I'm going to make sure that if one platform takes me down, there's 7 others to carry us, that we will not be dependent. So I'm like, I'm going to broaden this funnel. That's when I went hard after Angie, after Yelp, Facebook. I just started going after every single marketing platform I could. And we don't have like tons of reviews on those sources like we do Google for the time we've been in business, but we have a decent amount, and we still look good on those sources, and we work really hard for that. So we have traction with all those. And so it was a very difficult setback in the moment. It freaked me out. In fact, I was like, man, are they going to kill my business? I was like, I don't even look like I exist right now. I'm a brand new company. We worked so hard for this. Again, I was like, several weeks in, like less than a month. And so got through that, learned the lesson. And that's how I would say the setbacks have been primarily. It's like when I have a setback, it's like, okay, let's fix the problem. Let's avert the crisis. Let's get through this. But on the other side of this, how can I make us stronger so the next time we get hit with something like this, it won't have as much impact? I mean, Google's always going to have an impact, right? They're powerful. Yeah, so we're very careful. We're very, very careful with that, with the stuff we do there. But again, we wouldn't disappear. There's a whole page of places we show up if somebody looks. So that's an example.
What would you rate the most challenging part of growing and scaling? Is it people? Is it cash flow? Is it business, getting new business? Where would you rank in your experience so far as the most challenging one?
I think it depends. And here's what I mean by that. I was in a position, thankfully, we had some savings. So I was able to put a decent amount of cash into the business. I didn't have any outside investors or any other, sources of capital, but I was able to put some money into the business to get going. So we kind of had that operating capital because, to this day, we're not profitable like I want to be. We've grown too fast. Like we just keep reinvesting in the business. But that if you don't have that, I'd have to name that number one. I mean, it's like, and then getting cash flow, getting creative. I had to get terms with all of the suppliers, right? 30-day terms. And again, I'm a nobody, no business history. I had to use my personal credit. And so every step in the beginning is a fight, right? And nobody takes you seriously. So if you are starting from scratch, which is the advantage of buying a company, you have all that established usually. But every single step. So it changes by the week, by the month, as far as what that challenge in front of you is. So once those are not the challenges, I would say early on, staffing was a challenge. I had a couple of guys that I was very thankful for that joined early, one the first month, another the second month. So we had a couple of very experienced technicians, great guys with versatile skills that could do install, service, sales. They could move around and really help me early on. But a lot of our staffing in the beginning was like trying to use a recruiting company and find somebody, and who wants to work for a company they've never heard of that barely exists online. So it's just a fight. And then our breakthrough came when we got a couple of experienced people, one in particular that had been in the industry for over 3 decades. And then all of a sudden he knows everybody. And so it's like, now we have today, staffing is not our biggest challenge. There's still key positions that can be tough certain times of year, right? But that is not, thankfully, our biggest challenge. We have more people that want to work for us than I can hire just because of how fast we've grown and the friends they have that work here, right? Like friends bringing friends. Initially, I was scared of that because it's like, what if this new person, doesn't work out and then I lose both people? So to be honest, I was gun shy at first about that because you hear the horror stories and it can go that way. My experience has been the opposite. All my best hires, honestly, aside from a couple people I knew in the beginning, have all come through other people. That is how we've grown. And those are the people that are really building our team today. And getting people with industry insider experience was huge for us. And so that was really a game changer and helped us increase the momentum, helped us be able to capitalize on the short summer we did have. And so that's been a big deal.
Have you had any challenges from a lead standpoint? And a lot of times, so cash flow is definitely a big one I'll see no matter where a company is in their journey. People, oftentimes, unless you build a strong team and the continuity of them staying can go, that the people issue can go away. The business, a lot of times, the conversion on leads, I see challenge, especially for young businesses. Has that been a challenge for you guys?
I mean, it's never enough for me, right? Because that's the only throttle. No, but for real, that's the throttle that controls our growth. If I could fully solve the marketing matrix, right, and just
Yeah.
get enough leads, I could hire the people I want to hire today. I could keep my people busier in the shoulder season, right? It's just the lead flow. So that's never enough. But what I would say, in fairness, is I think most people looking in would be shocked at how much lead volume we already have, how fast that we were able to grow. We had the summer we did. We like our revenue on the year so far right now, just over about 9 months in, we're at 3.4 million top line in our
That's
first nine
awesome.
months, of this year. And our goal was 5 million. It was kind of a pie in the sky. I was like, I want to make sure we crush 3, but I'm going to say 5, and we're going to push like heck for it. We're going to be pretty darn close. If we can close out the year strong enough, cold weather would help since our hot weather ended too soon. But extreme weather is always nice, right? In HVAC. But we're trying to ramp plumbing and trying to diversify a little bit more. And so, yeah, we're gonna get close to that goal. But back to the marketing thing. Again, diversification's huge. John Wilson recently on Owned and Operated made a comment like, don't diversify too much, double down on what works. But I think you have to diversify enough when you're new to figure out what works and not be over reliant on one source, because here's what can happen. I'll just pick on Modernize for a moment. Okay. I like those guys, and they have a good team over there and they've been good to work with. But for several months we were on their leads program where they're just shoveling leads at us, man. And we know our schedule rate on that's like 20%. So it's like 1 out of 5 is good, 4 out of 5 are bad. It was just not they have a lot of leads, but they're not expensive. The leads are pretty cheap. But it took ferocious work from our team to get even 1 out of 5 scheduled. I mean, and then
Wow.
we hit August, and I think we got 40 or 50 leads in one day, and we got one schedule. I'm like, this freaking thing fell off a cliff. Now everything hit the fan in August in terms of marketing sources that were working. All of a sudden, our marketing costs just went through the roof. Everything stopped working. It was the lead volume went down and lead quality went down across the board. But Modernize was the worst. And so back to the drawing board, meeting with them along with everybody else and trying to figure this out. I ended up switching over to their warm leads transfer program where they vet the lead and then transfer them. It's still not 100%. We still get some whiffs, where they transfer somebody and they hang up on us, and that's frustrating, which is not, they can't control that. Like they get somebody on the phone and then, people do what people do.
Yeah.
But I will say the numbers work again. I don't have to devote, so many crazy hours of my team's time on the back end to hit the leads so hard. And when we get that warm leads transfer, which we had to revise our schedule and cover most hours, we now have hours 7 days a week, and we cover heavy full time and then some 6 days a week. We're on the phones. And so I've had to build out my back end a little bit more, but the warm leads transfer program does work. The numbers work. We're getting the conversions, the sales out of that program. So there's always a new challenge. Angie, we had to hit the reset after August. They were really gracious as well. Honestly, we kind of changed reps, but we have a really great rep now, who's been really helpful and helping us dial in. They gave us a credit because we track everything. We track all of our performance. We track every metric. What comes in, what's our booking rate, what's our sales rate, what's our average ticket, and then what's our total return. And our guideline is we try to keep our marketing expense for every channel under 10%.
Okay.
And like I said, in August, it just hit the fan, right? Everything was above 10%. Whereas like the months before, June and July, were like 2% or 5%, which we know that's not realistic to maintain, but 10 is our guidepost. And when it goes above 10, it's just the way red flags, alarms, what's going on. Let's figure it out. Because we're aggressive, just to be clear. Like our schedule, our booking rate with Angie is like 50%, which is unheard of. I've never seen numbers that good. And it's just because we push so freaking hard to get those booked. So anyways, we make it work. But when things go off the rails, then it's just making sure we have a good rep. And thankfully our volume's high enough that we have some good reps. But we're still diversifying, man. We're still trying to find more good sources. We just recently partnered with Valpak, for example. We're hitting 250,000 homes next week through Valpak, hoping that we can get some traction there. So that's now becoming one of our major, hopeful lead sources. And so that's a focus of ours as well, as an example of continued, I'm always looking like, hey, how can we grow faster? And I only up the marketing when the metrics are in place, you know. So when I can get something like recently, we upped our budget with Yelp, and then I looked at the numbers and they got better. I'm like, you know, and that's partly because our team dialed some things in. We have some automation built in, some AI stuff that's really working. And so it's like, all right, we're going to incrementally keep pushing that up. And so I push budgets up until things go off the rails, and then I'll pull back and try to look at, okay, why did we go off the rails? What do we need to fix? But again, things can change. You know, we're in shoulder season right now, so our approach has to be different.
Yeah. Okay. Shifting gears. I know for you, your mission is to build the best blue collar workforce in Northern Virginia. That's one of your goals and missions over the next 5 years. And there's a little caveat there, and it's mostly for A players. And what we know a lot of times when we hire people, they don't always have the same game plan as that we have. So talk to me a little bit about your mission. How do you find the right people that can go to the same beat as you and are in line with what you want the company to be all about?
Yeah, I try to. So what I've learned is early on, I would oversell us sometimes, like, you know,
Okay.
just make it sound great. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And while there's truth, right, there are great things about working here at SwiftPro. And I do think we have a great culture and a great team. However, there's also some things that are really tough. And so, you know, you promise a new installer, things are going to be great. It's going to run smooth when they don't run smooth yet. Cause we, you know, at the time, like we went through half a summer, we didn't have a warehouse, right? Like we were picking up material every freaking day from a supplier. And then they, you know, and then things were haywire with some of our suppliers, some of the locations, half the orders missing. You know, this one's not ready. Our guys are spending hours. So it was a heck of a summer, right? And then towards the end, we got things on track in terms of organization. And today we're in a way better place. We've moved people around. We have a guy running it now that's an experienced installer. He's now our install manager. So we've made a lot of changes and improvements, but there's some real pain points. Every growth milestone has pain points attached. And so I just say, being honest, I'd like to think, like, I talk about the upside, and I say this: if you want to be able to achieve rapid career growth, if you'd like to earn a leadership slot, be in a completely different position a year from now, even, right? This is the place for you. If you're willing to work your butt off, if you're willing to go above and beyond, if you're willing to strive for excellence every day for every customer interaction and every type of project you complete, right? Take pride in your work. If you want to be the best you can be and be part of a team that strives for that, this is the place for you. If you're looking for a 9 to 5, if you're looking for an easy gig, if you're looking where everything's polished and there's every position in our company, there's a warehouse manager, there's a, you know, every single thing is boxes checked and we're already a well-run machine, that's not it. We're the wild, wild west. And there's going to be a new challenge tomorrow that we have to face and solve that I don't even know about yet. So I can't tell you what it is, you know? And so I just try to be brutally honest with people about the upside so that I attract the right talent. Early on, man, you're so desperate for people, you almost say anything to get them. And I'm not saying don't lie, don't
No, I
BS,
know
right?
you mean.
But, you know, but at the same time, it's like, you don't want to talk about the bad things because it's like, I want them to come work for me. I need them, you know? But that's a mistake, I think, because if you're not, and you know, there's some famous things with that guy that was going on. I think it was the North Pole expedition. He's like, you know, looking for men, you know, low wages, long days, extreme cold environment, you know, and then he had a line out the door of hundreds or I think maybe thousands of people that applied for this small group that was going. You know, we underestimate people sometimes, right? I think a lot of people out there, and I will say this in particular about young men that are in the trades or entering the trades, they want something hard. They want to be part of something meaningful. Mission matters, you know? And so when you can create a strong mission, a strong purpose, be different than other people around you, and it's not just motivated by money, right? It's not just, I want to sell this company in 5 years and, you know, buy a big mansion or retire to Florida. Like, that's not what drives me, right? So I think the mission's authentic. I want to build a place that matters, that serves the community, that's here for the long term, a multi-generational company, family owned and operated. You know, they get behind those things.
Yeah.
And maybe they're leading places where it used to be that, but it's not that anymore. And so I think it's just being really clear about your mission, and then the hard things, right? Not shying away from what's hard. Like, look, we still have some problems to fix, but I want your help fixing them. You know, I don't want you to bring me problems. I already know we have problems. Bring solutions, bring ideas, help us build this. And then you attract the right people. So I'm looking for people that have entrepreneurial talent, or, want to be part of building something, and grit, and willing to just push through adversity and do something that matters with people that they enjoy working with.
I think a lot of us as business owners, and I don't care the industry, it's our baby, it's our business, and I think it's somewhat common to leave out the growing pains part at first, and
Yeah.
then you get this mismatch because just like you said, if someone's coming from some big company, they're used to all the structure and everything, and it's just a bad fit. And if you
Yeah.
set those expectations, it's just so much better. Like the people come in knowing there's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be things that go wrong. We know that. We expect that. We expect you to dig in and help us fix them. So I think that's
Yeah.
awesome. That
100%.
awareness you kind of through the learning curve. Hey, I want to switch gears into a brand. You really from day one went all in with brand. I believe you used Kick Charge. You guys got a
I did.
you got a beautiful fleet. I mean, when I look at your pictures, I always just kind of smile because it's just such a beautiful fleet. What was your thinking on that? Because that's an expensive thing to do from the get-go.
Yeah, I read Dan's book actually, and I think it's Branded, Not Blanded, if my
Yeah,
memory serves correct.
that's correct.
Which he did a great job expressing the importance of that. Um, and I just knew from day one, like one of our big picture goals, our 5-year goals, aside from becoming the best blue collar business to work for at the core of our mission, we also wanted to be the most loved, trusted, and recognized blue collar brand in Northern Virginia within 5 years. That was core to what we wanted to build. Notice I didn't say biggest. I didn't even use the word best. Loved, trusted, recognized. And so the recognized thing is like everybody knows who we are and what we stand for and what our mission is and whether we're a good fit for them or not. We're very clear about that, right? Like you tell me, if you're looking for the absolute cheapest, that's not us. If you're looking for the absolute biggest, that's not us. But there are things we are that I think we can serve customers really well. And so I would just say we're in a very competitive market. Northern Virginia, I would argue, has got to be up there, maybe top 5 markets in terms of competition. We have a lot of private equity money, a lot of big budget brands that have been building for a long, long time. And so some of our competitors, I mean, that we go up against, they got 5,000, 8,000, 10,000 reviews, right? Here's us, right? So I just knew that we had to I wanted to give our team a fighting chance, right? Like I wanted to make us look legit from day one. And so, yes, I hired Dan, I invested money in the brand. And we had a couple of rounds, weren't happy with the first round, but their team worked with us and we came up with something that we really loved, that we really felt expressed to we are SwiftPro, fast and professional, right? We want to, in our world, HVAC and plumbing, we got to get there fast, but then we got to couple that with excellence. We got to fix the real problem, right? And so that's what we're about. That's what represents us. And so, another one of my slogans is go for wow, right? I don't want to be average at anything. I don't want to just get by, I don't want to do the bare minimum. And so, I don't want my guys driving around in white vans, and it's like, and so, yes, so that was important to us, establishing an identity, what we're about. It really did help us in attracting talent because of that legitimacy. Because even though we're brand new, it's like, wow, I get to drive around that, and it was appealing, I think, to some of our early hires as well. And so it was a big part of what we fought to establish. It's still a work in progress. But I do have already someone that's on the back end working on marketing nonstop, marketing manager, and a big part of her focus is brand building, right? We're just constantly focused on how do we not just focus on today and the leads we need today, but building a brand people recognize and, yes, come to love and trust.
So when you look back on that initial investment, what would your recommendation to be to people out in the audience? Would you say do it no matter where you're at in your journey, whether you're starting out day one or you're 10 years in? If you don't have a cohesive brand that makes an impression, invest the money, and it's significant if you go through some of the
Yes.
better services. What's your thoughts on
Yes.
that? Yes.
That's determined by their goals, though, I would
Okay.
just say. There
Okay.
are guys where it's like, look, I just want me and a helper and I just want to have enough work. Well, maybe it doesn't serve him to invest $50,000 in total in a really robust website and a really robust brand and all of that. I think a level of professionalism is important, but I understand that there's guys that, hey, I want to stand out the fact that, whatever, I can do whatever. I have a white van. I'm just a neutral player. But if you want to build a company, a real business, a business that eventually can run without you in the sense that it's not reliant on just owner operator doing the work. If you're like coming from a technician background in particular, then branding matters, So if you want to get, let's say if your goal, even if your goal is at least 5 million and above, right? If that's your goal, then you have to build a brand, in my opinion. I mean, if you don't have a brand, in our world, at least, I think it's really tough to get above like that kind of maybe 1 to 2 million. And I know there's outliers, and I know there's new construction, which is a different world, right? That's a different world. But I'm talking about like a residential focused brand, like what we are. I think you have to have a brand. I mean, even driving into the driveway to do the work. I mean, customers comment, right? There's because even that, it's like you want a level of trust. Are you using subcontractors, or are these just day laborers? And we're able to say, no, these are full-time people, and they'll drive up in a SwiftPro van, right? And I think that really helps with trust, legitimacy, and the customer experience as well. And so that goes uniforms, boot covers, everything we do. We want a great customer experience, which I think if you're going to build a business, that's important. And so, yeah, all that stuff matters. There's always more to do, but I think
Sure.
we've overall done a good job. I think we have a great website. I think we have a great brand. I think our van stuff and truck stuff is really great. Proud of it, and I know the team that represents us is proud to have that representing them in the field.
Yeah, and I think it has this self-fulfilling prophecy, if you will. Once you start to have pride in the brand, everybody's like, it works for itself. Like people are proud to work for the company. I've seen pictures where people take all their branding that KickCharge did and they make like this employee lounge and they've got all the coloring, and it just takes it to a whole nother level where there's all this
Yeah.
pride. Even like me with you, before I had researched you, I saw your fleet, your pictures, and I'm like, wow, this is in my mind. I'm thinking this got to be a $20 million a year company, like their image, the way they look. And then I started researching you and learning more about you, and I was even more impressed. And it was all just because the brand sent such a message that you guys have. Is there anything when you went down that path of branding that you weren't expecting that was either more difficult, more costly? Anything catch you off guard? And when you first initially did it and you were thinking about it?
It took more time than I wanted to in the
Okay,
beginning.
time.
I like to go fast, and so things never move fast enough for me. As great as our milestones that we've achieved are, it's like I wish we'd already done 5 million. You know what I mean? Like it's just never enough, and that's part of what makes me who I am. I'm relentless and just kind of obsessed, right? So in the beginning, it was hard to slow down to actually make sure we built things out, and we did roll out, like we had a temporary website in the sense of like some temporary branding and things. We had to show up somewhere because we didn't really have things built out to like November, honestly. Where things were really, we had a couple wrap bands by that point, but yeah, I would just say this, like you have to slow down and do it right. Like it's worth spending time and getting it right, because if you think about it, what's a couple of months in light of the next 10, 20 years, and then not having to come back and redo it all. Like wrapping's expensive. Get it right the first time. Don't have like a halfway brand that looks okay or mediocre. That's where I'd say, whether it's Dan or someone else, use a team that's really good at what they do. Don't just come up with it in-house. I would say that. Like I do think it's worth the investment. Dan, maybe you can give me some, maybe you guys can design a lounge now if I give you enough shout outs here. But anyways, that's our next step. When you said that, I was like, yeah, our office needs some work. Yeah. We just kind of, we moved in the summer. It was crazy. It was mayhem. Walls are a little bare right now. We definitely need, I was just at John Wilson's shop, out there, owned and operated guy. And they've done an amazing job in terms of, they've got reviews printed all over the walls. They've got their mission statements, they've got their brand colors and logos and all that. I'm like, yeah, our office needs some work. So don't come to our office expecting that, what you see on the vans right now. We need to get that done over the next few months, but there's always more. But yeah, I think it's important. And it helps build that identity for your team, that culture as well.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, I want to switch gears into reviews. So you guys went all in on reviews really early on. I mean, I want to know what your methodology was, or what was your style for getting so many great reviews. I think you have over 300. Are we at 13 months? Some crazy
Yeah,
number.
13 months in, 366 on Google, and then we have a good amount on Angie, on Yelp, and a bunch of other places. Yep.
So what was your process? Take me through. Obviously, there has to be good work to get good reviews, but I mean,
Yeah.
what's beyond that? Like, tell me what your psychology was, what you did with the staff to make sure you're getting them. Walk me through what your methodology was.
Number one, teaching technicians to get them on site and push
Okay.
for it and ask for it. Number two, all of our business cards for every technician, every salesperson, every whatever person in the field, we have a QR code on the business card to try to make this easy. So then they can ask the customer, here, use your camera, pull this up, and it takes them right to a Google page where they can post a review. So we try to make it easy. We try to make it scalable, right? So it's not a hard thing. Then you got to teach them, right? And there's always more work to do on that, right?
Sure.
Like we can improve. We should be getting more than what we are. So But you gotta teach them. Like you can't say get reviews. You gotta say here's how you ask for it. Introduce it early. They ask you to do that one extra thing, rather than just doing it. Say, hey, if I can do this for you and you're happy with all the work I complete today, could you take a minute and write a review for me? And that's the reality is like you just don't ask for it, you don't push for it, and they just walk away. It's another point of resistance. It's uncomfortable at the beginning, right? So that's a big deal. We have back end things, automations that we build in where we also ask for it on the back end as well. Usually it's like a survey first because we want to make sure they're happy, and if they're not, we want to make them happy. But yeah, we have some processes like that. And the last thing I would say, which is honestly I think the most important, because if you don't do this, I think the other stuff, it's going to be mediocre. You have to celebrate what you want more of. So what I do is we have a text chain with all of our team on it, right? So it's a big text chain. We don't put everything into that text chain, right? If there's an important question or communication or an all hands on deck meeting, that goes through there. But what we do is we celebrate wins on there. And one of the greatest wins we celebrate are great reviews. So anytime someone writes a mini essay on Google for us, I screenshot that and I put that on there and I shout out the guys that got it, right? And say, great job. And that happens almost daily. That's pretty common, right? Sometimes multiple times a day. That's a big deal. You have to shout out, you have to celebrate the wins. And I'm a driver. It's never enough. We should have got 5. We got 3. Great. So I can sometimes seem prickish. I'm aware of that, right? It's like, but I have to take a minute, whether it's just one, if it's a great review, celebrate that great review, take a moment. And so I try my best to do that. And really, just congratulate the team members that got it. Great job. And then people like to be celebrated, right? Like everybody wants positive affirmation. And so that helps. I think that's a big difference maker. And that's what we do to this day.
Yeah. When you say text, do you mean, is this like a Slack environment or is it really over a phone, like some text chain?
Man, if you work in the blue collar trades world, you know that using other apps are not going to work for whole team communications. There's a lot of my guys that probably have checked their email once a month. It's like, can you
Got it.
please look at your email? I sent you something important. So text. So yes, not field text. I'm talking about text on a cell phone is how we communicate with the whole team. Obviously, our office team does not function like that. We have other ways to. We actually use GChat, as like a Slack channel, but it's GChat, so everything functions through that. And we have designated channels. And yes, my team leaders are expected to communicate through those channels, but I can't expect everyone else to. So we just use our for whole team communication. Celebrating wins, we use cell phone texts to go out and screenshots, and that's how we celebrate things like that.
That's so cool. Okay, last thing I want to talk about is just systems and operations. I like your branding. You went in with Service Titan, which is, I would argue, this premier CRM package out there. You started with Service Titan pretty early. It's also probably one of the hardest. You focused on bookkeeping and job costing, I think, pretty early too. What was your thought process around systems? Now, one thing I want to put a disclaimer, systems are a living entity into itself. So in my opinion, you're always improving, getting them better. So by no means am I saying, hey, I know everything's perfect. But in terms of just what was your thought process starting with a great package like Service Titan and just really focusing on systems early on?
Yeah. Well, let me just add the caveat at the beginning. I never feel like our systems are good enough. We got lots more to build, lots more to do, lots of things to fix, right?
Sure.
So I do want to express that. We have not figured it all out. But yes, I think from the beginning, we did try to be systemized and we've incrementally improved every day since we started, I would say, on that. So the Service Titan thing is huge. One thing that I wanted to do this go around in my last company, I felt like we had a lot of apps that didn't always communicate together, and it was complicated for our field team in particular to manage and use all of them. And there was a lot of training, continuous training required that had nothing in sense to do with their job. It was just all these apps. So Service Titan for me was the one-stop shop that I could teach my team to use. And then once we had it set up correctly, run the whole business through. And that is what it is to this day. That said, the first 90 days were horrific. I got no support. Nothing worked. And it was every day. It was like, why am I paying for this thing that costs way too much money and can't do the things we needed to? So today, I would say I would give us a B on our usage. We have an outside firm that's helping us set things up better, dial it in. Again, it's still expensive, and
Yeah.
we're always reviewing how we can maybe get that down a little bit. But overall, it does a great job. It's funny. I had another person from outside that came in for a day to shadow and just kind of see our business operations from out of state. A friend of mine, and you shadow one of my technicians. He's like, "That was amazing." He's like, he dispatched to the appointment. He arrived at the appointment on the app. He goes in there. He takes pictures through the app. He documents everything, addresses the customer's concerns. He shows them the pictures on the app. Then next thing, he's building proposals on the app. Then he presents the proposals to the customer. They select what they want to do, and then they sign the proposal, and then he does the work right there. And then they review the invoice on the app, on this iPad. Everything's happening on the iPad. And then they sign their approval, and then they pay with the credit card, and that runs through the thing. And then he closes out the appointment, and then he's like, dude, everything was seamless. It was all running through one app. And that's what ServiceTitan is, right? When it works as it should, everything functions through one place. And so that's a big part of it, just getting that dialed in. So most of our systems processes are just constantly improving that, because again, that runs our business for the most part. Yes, things like QuickBooks and some systems on the back end. We do some manual tracking, like we track everything marketing. We don't have all that dialed in inside of ServiceTitan yet. That's a work in progress. We do that kind of plus a bunch of spreadsheets where we track everything. But at least the numbers are in ServiceTitan, and we're always trying to make sure it's accurate. And so we pull numbers from there, and then do some of our own manual processes. But yeah, trying to know your numbers, trying to know how things are performing. Like, how do you make marketing decisions, for example, unless you know the performance metrics of each different channel? And then how do you hold them accountable to what you expect, unless you can show them months of data? Like when I have a meeting, for example, with Angie, it's like I can show them 10 months of data, and so they take us seriously. So when I say, hey, this month everything went off the rails, I need your help, they take me seriously, because I can show them the previous 8 months exactly what my cost per lead was, what my percentage of the revenue from that channel was for the marketing spend, and they take me seriously. So yeah, for team, following the right process is critical. And the only way you're going to do that is if you have some way of tracking that, some way of holding them accountable, some process to follow. And in this case, it's all running through ServiceTitan.
Right. And then you mentioned at the 90-day point, you really had no service site, and like you were paying for it. It's a pretty expensive package, and you really weren't getting any support. Is that at that 90-day point where you said, hey, I'm going to hire an external firm?
No, it's when they finally gave me a decent rep, I would say, somewhere around 3 to 4 months in. Like,
Okay.
look, in the beginning, nobody knew what to do with me, man. Like it's like, hey, we're gonna, because they just, it's like normally a startup's one tech in a truck for a while,
Right.
and essentially, you know what I'm saying? They didn't know what to do with me because I'm not private equity. I don't have like, oh, I already built a business, or I'm coming out like in the sense of in this industry, right?
Right.
And so brand new industry, software I haven't worked with, relationships I didn't have. And it just took 3 to 4 months before people, in some cases, took me seriously. And so that was the case with ServiceTitan. They finally gave, I mean, to be honest, if they want to help on this side, I think most people start with a different package and then switch to ServiceTitan at like the 2, 3, 4, 5 year mark once they grow into it. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to switch softwares. I just wanted to start with what could grow my company, and from day one. And again, you got one guy in a truck, you have to pay for three. It's like, yeah, I get it. I'll pay for three, but help me. And it took a while, but eventually we got support. Eventually we have we have a good rep today who does help us. And then we have an outside entity helping us. And then I have people inside my team that are constantly getting trained and going through courses to learn it, because it is tough. It's not an easy software to operate. It's complex.
Right.
And like I said, I would give us probably a B today. Like the
Yeah.
goal is A plus, but we're a little ways from that.
Honestly, a B for a growing early stage company to me is like an A plus, because it is a complex package. And I get a bird's eye view of many clients that are using ServiceTitan, and most of them I'd probably say C, if I'm being honest, just because they don't know how to use a lot of the modules. They may or may not have their syncing to QuickBooks really that great in terms of problems and issues that are coming through. So I think you're doing great. I mean, if you're grading yourself B, that's pretty darn good, especially at your stage of your business.
Yeah, no thanks, but maybe you'd give us a C. I don't know. So outside eyes, right? Yeah, we got plenty of things to fix, plenty of things to work on, but for the main functions, yeah, I think we're doing decent. Yep.
One last company, the consulting company you're using, are they doing a good job? And is that some company you'd mind sharing if you are happy with them?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I mean, they're Their Titan Pro is who we're
Okay.
using right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, I love those guys.
And they've been very, yeah, they've been very helpful, very good. They're a little bit expensive. So
They all
it's a
are.
little bit tough. Yeah, pay for what you get, right? What they say.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's kind of helping us kind of bridge this. I mean, to be honest, I think they're a better fit if you're personally, if you're like a 10 million plus company. But I just couldn't keep bleeding on some of the problems we had to fix.
yeah.
And for one, we wanted to build our own custom price books, and I just didn't have the internal ability to pull that off. And so we
Yeah.
needed some outside expertise to do that, and that's what we've been focused on, along with fixing some of our broken systems and using the software the way we should.
Right. And I'll say expensive is relative to, I think it's fair to say this, considering Service Titan has a pretty relatively high fee to get the most out of it, needing that support element or that consulting element, there should be, I mean, you're getting return off your dollar. So it is
Yeah.
from a budget standpoint, a decent dollar amount, but I think there's a return standpoint probably to it over time.
Yeah, and that's the one challenge I had because early on I didn't have anybody that had a Service Titan background, so we were flying blind. I didn't even know how it's supposed to be. I didn't even have the roadmap, you know what I mean? And it was just like I just was figuring it out. So we were doing everything wrong inside there,
Wow.
jacking everything up. So that's the thing. Like we found a way to make it work, but it was a nightmare in the beginning, and then step by step we made it better. So today I'm glad we're on it, and it works well overall. But yeah, the pathway was rough, and I would just tell I was scaling so fast that I felt like it justified it. I tell people if your goal is to be like 5 million in 3 years, man, probably like House Call Pro or Jobber. They're adding more features now. I think you can do good, better, best through Jobber. So I'm just saying, like, there's probably some other ones that if you're going to grow incrementally, man, just use an easier one, and then scale it a while, and then keep your customer list and data clean, and then you can port it over. That's what I would say. It was just that my goal was in the first full year this year hit 5 million. It's like, all right, I felt like, and then keep scaling. It's like, I probably should just start on what I plan to, because then I have to learn one and then learn another. It's like, no, the first year will be painful. And that's what I've told everybody. The first year is going to be really freaking tough. And it was, it
Yeah.
has been, but it's getting better.
Really good stuff. Hey, I want to wrap up here with a couple things. In terms of a mantra, and you kind of already mentioned it, but I want to just talk about it for a couple of minutes. A one liner or something that you live by. I think it's the go for now. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, the go for wow. And
Yeah,
the
sorry.
idea
Wow.
is that, yeah, no, yeah, no worries. So it's go for wow. And the idea is simply this. We don't want to be average. We don't want to be mediocre. We don't want to just do enough to get by. Every day is a day to aim for excellence, to execute at a high level, to deliver great experiences for our customers. So go for wow, primarily outward facing, is focused on how can we make our customers super happy, not just like, oh, it's okay. How do we go above and beyond? And we don't hit that every day time. We don't. But we wouldn't have the reviews we do, excuse me, unless we were executing at a pretty high level and had a lot of happy customers. 300 and whatever 66 reviews don't happen by accident, and you have to deliver excellence to keep that 5-star average. And so we have really fought for that. That's the way I live my life, man. I mean, and that's where I told you back to recruitment. It's like, dude, I just tell people, it's like, try to self-select out, because if you're not going to drive and push and be, like my 3 core values: total ownership, unique genius, and incremental improvement. I just believe this is kind of the 1% principle. I just believe in becoming better every day. And so that go for wow fits with that as the mantra, because it's like, I don't, I want to internally within my family. Like, so that's the thing. Maybe you live outside of your home, go for a while, but are you living like that in your home? Like, we try to go on random family adventures. I want my wife and my kids, I want to take her on a date. Wow, that was awesome. This was such a unique experience. My kids, oh my gosh, this was such a fun day. Like, do you live your life like that, right? Go for wow. Like, why be average? Why just ho hum your way through life, man? Life's too short. Life's too precious. And so for us, that's just a way we try to live. And no, not every day is a wow. Sometimes it's a wow in the wrong direction. Wow, this day was tough. But you swing for the fences, and you know what? You hit some really great, home runs. You hit some days that it's just like, that was awesome. And it's tough, right? Because part of that wow aspect is pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. That's the key. And when you do that consistently as a way of life, I think it's going to be a pretty exciting ride.
I feel like you got a book in you, man. That's the title. Go for a while. You're like, all right, you already got the headline, so now it's just write it out.
There you go, man. That'd be great once I can get a team built to run the business, so I'm not working 14 hours a day. Yeah, but
Right.
no, it's not this season, but yeah, it'd be fun to write something.
I hear you. Okay, so wrapping up, I think my big takeaway from this conversation, and honestly, you bleed it throughout this discussion. It's incremental improvement. Like everything you say, like or be a service titan. It's you're thinking, how do I improve? How do I get better? How do everything from A players to getting matching the expectations of people you're hiring, to your review process. I mean, just everything's about incremental improvement to me is I would say my number one
Yes.
takeaway.
Yeah, I think that's a great observation because that's something, again, to go for wow, but it coupled with like, don't people get overwhelmed? It's like, I don't work out at all, and now I'm going to go work out 2 hours a day. It's like, that's not realistic for most people. There's maybe an occasional person out there, but that's just not realistic, right? So, how do we build healthy habits, right? Atomic Habits is a great book. It's like, how do we make those incremental changes to our lifestyle that can have major long-term impact. And so, yeah, like, can I get 10% better today? Probably not. But could I get 1% better today? Probably. If I'm not a reader, could I get 1% better every day? And like, all right, I'm going to read a page a day. Okay, now I'm going to read two. It's like incremental. It's just taking steps in the right direction. Okay, I want to lose some weight. All right, can I walk around the block every night? Now can I do two? Could I swap that bowl of ice cream for a salad? It's like just making those small changes in every area of life. And the same thing works in business, right? Can I fix everything wrong in my business today? No, but what's the biggest problem that I can solve, that I can create a process for, have someone accountable for, that's going to make an impact in my business. And if I just make a tweak every single day and things get a little bit better, then that incremental improvement over time is compounding. And if you start doing the math on 1% improvement per day, it's pretty massive. It doesn't even take 100 days for 100% improvement because it's compounding, right? It's like, I don't know, it's like 60 something days or 70
Yeah.
days. Forget the exact number, but it's crazy. And then you can transform yourself. Like, that's what I tell people that join my team as well. It's like, look, if you want to be in a place that's going to push you to become the best version of yourself, like, that's what we want to be, right? Because that's what's going to bring value to our customers as well. You becoming better helps everyone. And I don't just want my team to bring excellence to the workplace. I hope that as a result of our company, that they're a better human being. They're a better husband or a wife if they're married. They're a better, life partner. They're a better father or mother if they have kids because they work here. Because when you become better in one area of life, if it's authentic and you're not faking it, right? If it's real change, that affects everything else in your life. Now, all of a sudden, their lives are transforming. Their family's asking, what is with you? What I want in 5, 10, 15 years is families, spouses, children to say, you changed my dad's, my mom's, my husband, my wife's life. Like, working there was the transformative thing that made them who they are today. And that's what I want. I want, like, real impact, real change for the positive, for them, right? Not just for us. Like, yeah, if they 10 years now they go run their own company. Great. We made an impact, right? We helped change their life in a positive way. And the generations to follow could be impacted by that. And that's what we want. We want to see real impact, real life change and yes, that affects the business too. The customer experience is part of that. Every area of your life, though, is what I want to see authentic, incremental improvement in.
Man, that's good stuff. Hey, so your websites, GoSwiftPro.com is your company site. You've
Yep.
got x.com underscore scrappy startup is
Yep.
your
Yep.
xx.com.
Because
And
that's what we
then
are. We're a scrappy startup, man. So if you
I
look up
love it.
scrappy, it's like, yeah, yeah. I was, back in my school days, I'm still small, right? Who am I kidding? But I worked out with a bunch of like bodybuilder, big dudes, and I worked with them, and they're lifting like 4 times the weight. But because I was so driven and passionate, and I worked out like a madman in there. They all respected me, and it was funny. On one of my birthdays, they gave me this card with like this scrawny kid lifting this huge bar, right, with the weight buckling over the edges, and they called me Scrappy, right, because I was always, kind of swinging above my weight class is kind of the idea, right? Like you're doing things bigger than what you are, and so that's what I'd like to say is like it's like yeah, I'm not like this walk in the room and everybody's in awe. I am definitely not that guy, but I just believe in swinging for the fences, man, and that when you build the right team and you have the right people around you, you can do great things together. That's what it's all about. This is certainly not Tyler's accomplished all this in 13 months. This is about the team we've built, the people that have
Yeah.
joined in. It's a collaborative team. I wouldn't be where I am without my wife and the support of, of her, my kids. It's just, it's never in a vacuum. you, man. It's always the people around you that help make you who you are and help you succeed. And you, man, you want to take them on the journey, so when you arrive at the destination, you can celebrate it together.
So cool. Another wow moment. So just if people want to reach out to you, is X.com the best place to do it? LinkedIn? I'll put these all in the show notes. Are those the right ones? Instagram? What do you prefer?
Man, I don't care. Wherever they are, I'm happy to connect. I'm on Instagram. You can just search me, Tyler Griffin, and you start looking for SwiftPro. You should see me. Facebook, same thing, right? I'm tagged all the time on our SwiftPro page, so I'm on Facebook. And I don't accept everybody, but if it's like, oh, it's a fellow business owner, definitely. No, just saying, love that. And then if they're on X, if that's their main forum, yes, _Scrappy Startup, please, man, give me a follow. And I usually check out the profile, and if it's like, oh, this doesn't look like a bot, looks like a real person, then I'll follow back, So that'd be great. Just love connecting, love building, networking and community and learning from other people. I've got plenty to learn. Hope that there was some value here for others, but lots to learn. That's why I'm here with you today. Just because I believe one step at a time, learning from others, building a community, building a network. And I certainly want to do more of that. And if people looked there, yeah, I'm not very consistent about posting. I've kind of had my head down these last few months, just grinding. And so I'm very, very bad at posting regularly, but I am on there, believe it or not. And just not always saying that much. So need to get better about that, but love to connect.
Okay, man. Hey, thanks so much. There was a ton of wisdom here. And hearing your story was awesome. So thanks for sharing your journey. Hope in the future we can come and have another discussion. I think you'll be at your next goal probably, and there'll be a whole bunch of stories to go along with it.
No, thank you, man. Appreciate the opportunity.
Welcome to Profit and Grit. It's profit and grit, not luck and a wish. From the wrench to the spreadsheet, we're stacking our chips. Slow season hits, man, we tighten the ship. It's the